Hey everyone, this is Byron Crime TV. I'm Brian, and today I'm sharing a story I could hardly believe and didn't want to believe. It revolves around a mother and daughter. No one died, but the damage was as devastating as a murder. It leaves you with a deep sense of suffocation. When the truth came out, the whole town was furious. They believed the mastermind was too selfish and unforgivable. So, what really happened back then? Let's go back to 2001 and tell this outrageous and appalling story. In the Midwest of Ohio, there's a small city called Urbana. It's an ordinary, quiet town. So ordinary, I couldn't find anything unique to say about it. It covers just 20 square kilometers. In the 2000 census, the population was only 11,630. The economy wasn't very developed. The upside of a small town like this is a very relaxed lifestyle. Everyone knows each other, a close-knit community. Today's story takes place in this ordinary town. Teresa Milbrandt, 35 years old, was a very ordinary resident. She'd had many jobs and was now a home health nurse. Her husband, Robert Milbrandt, 44, was a printer in town. They had been married for 9 years. They lived in a 3-bedroom ranch-style house. They had 6 children together. 7-year-old Hannah was the youngest and the only child from their marriage. The other 5 were from their previous marriages. Even with many kids and modest salaries, the cost of living in their area was low. Supporting a family of 8 wasn't a problem. Little Hannah had been the family's joy since birth. She was well-behaved and obedient, with siblings' care and parents' love. As Hannah grew up, she had beautiful blonde hair and loved to smile. Neighbors and other kids adored her. The community was close-knit and harmonious. Hannah often brought friends home, or went to neighbors' houses to play hide-and-seek. Everything was wonderful, until a serious illness gripped the whole town with worry. One day in April 2002, 7-year-old Hannah had a fever and cough. Her mother took her to the hospital. Though not serious, they ran a series of tests. The tests revealed devastating news. Little Hannah was diagnosed with leukemia. What's more, near her spine, the back of her brain, and her back, malignant tumors were found. The brain tumor was inoperable. Only palliative medication was possible, no cure. This sudden blow pushed the already struggling family to the brink. The follow-up treatment costs were enormous. Soon, Teresa told the neighbors about Hannah's illness. The neighbors were shocked and deeply sympathetic and saddened. They generously donated money for Hannah. Gradually, Hannah started losing a lot of hair. For chemo, and to avoid the mess of hair loss, her long hair was shaved off. Hannah looked in the mirror and said sadly, "Mom, I look like a boy." After that, Hannah needed chemo almost every week. At home, she took her medicine obediently. She never refused. She always took it all, just as told. She wanted to get better soon. For Hannah's safety, neighbors and the school told other kids to keep their distance from her, to avoid bringing germs. For Hannah, her life had turned upside down. Her beautiful long hair was gone. She wore a hat all the time. To prevent infection, she always wore a mask. For frequent chemo, she had IV ports on her chest and back, covered with bandages. The once lovely little girl had become a frail patient. She had to get used to being alone. Swinging alone, staying home alone, playing with toys alone. The kids who used to love being around her could only wave and talk from a distance. To spare Hannah's feelings, the teacher even had all 300+ students in the school wear hats on certain days so they would look just like Hannah. Hannah was thrilled. She excitedly told her parents, "All the kids at school wore hats today." It felt so good. Urbana is a small town. When the local paper reported Hannah's condition, news of her terminal illness spread through the whole town. Though the townsfolk weren't wealthy, Many businesses and individuals started donating and holding fundraisers. The church Teresa often attended held a special bake sale and raised $7,000. The local fire department, besides donating money, also gave Hannah a cute puppy. Hannah had always dreamed of having a dog. Almost every nearby store and gas station had donation jars for Hannah. Hannah's grandmother, Mary, also sold candles at fundraisers. All the money was given to Teresa. The kids were also involved. A local charity had a program to recycle soda can tabs for cash. The money went to charity or specific people. The town's kids collected tabs and gave them to Hannah. This brings us to another patient, Lucy, who was severely ill and confined to a wheelchair, relying on breathing equipment to survive. She could barely speak. She had been collecting tabs since she was 8 to help pay for her medical bills. But when she heard about Hannah, she decided to give her 9 years' worth of tabs to Hannah. She felt that while she was sick, she wasn't in immediate danger of dying. Hannah needed them more. Despite everyone's help, in October, Teresa announced that Hannah had only 6 months left. Those who cared about Hannah were heartbroken. They began praying for her at church. Donations continued. Teresa said, Hannah's weekly chemo cost $500. That's $2,000 a month. It was a huge burden for the family. Thankfully, wave after wave of donations helped them through. Hannah kept going to school, and she was very brave. Her teachers were proud of her. The teacher told the other students, if they saw Hannah fall, have a seizure, or shake uncontrollably, to tell a teacher immediately. These things could be fatal for Hannah. A few months passed peacefully. In December, Teresa suddenly announced, Hannah only has a few weeks to live. Little Hannah was terrified. At 7 years old, she didn't truly understand what death meant. What she feared was being separated from her family. She asked Santa for a happy Christmas. She hoped she could live until Christmas. The neighbors all felt sorry for Hannah. But just when things seemed hopeless, everything took a dramatic turn. Everyone was stunned. In December, as everyone was preparing for Christmas, Hannah's teacher made a shocking discovery. She accidentally knocked off Hannah's hat. Hannah's hair was very short, but it was growing evenly. There were no bald patches. This raised her suspicions. From what she knew, people on long-term chemo lose their hair in patches. It's not pretty. Suspicious. She quietly lifted the medical bandage on Hannah's back. There was nothing underneath, not even a mark. She knew something was wrong. She didn't know what, but she reported it to the authorities. The whole town knew about Hannah's supposed illness. The police took the report seriously. An investigation found no record of Hannah receiving chemo at the local hospital. No test results confirming leukemia or other malignant tumors. The doctors, when they heard Hannah was terminal, assumed she was diagnosed elsewhere. Police questioned Teresa. She readily admitted to the deception. She said Hannah didn't have a terminal illness. On January 14, 2003, police arrested Teresa, Robert, and Hannah's grandmother, Mary. The prosecution argued the 3 adults had orchestrated an unforgivable and elaborate lie. Their goal was to exploit sympathy and collect donations. They were charged with theft and child endangerment. When the fraud was exposed, the town erupted. Such a scam was unheard of, unthinkable. Hannah was only 7. Her parents told her, "You have a terminal illness, you only have months to live. Only weeks to live." What kind of damage does that do to a young mind? How could parents do this to their daughter? The townspeople were disgusted by the trio's deception. In court, Teresa pleaded guilty. Robert and Mary pleaded not guilty. They claimed they were completely in the dark. They thought Hannah was truly dying. But the prosecution believed Teresa couldn't have pulled this off alone. After all, with a sick child, the parents would see test results, chemo bills, insurance forms, and prescriptions. They would have known. Just as the prosecution thought, convicting all three was a sure thing. Teresa's lawyer argued that Teresa was also a victim. What she did to Hannah was not intentional. She suffered from Munchausen syndrome by proxy, a mental illness where a person fabricates or induces illness in another to gain sympathy. It's a psychological disorder. It usually affects women, and they often target their own children. Teresa even saw a local psychiatrist. A doctor said Teresa did show symptoms of the disorder. Many were skeptical, but some believed it. Otherwise, who could do this to their own daughter? After a psychiatric evaluation, her insanity defense was rejected. Ultimately, for child endangerment and theft, Teresa was sentenced to 6.5 years. Hannah's father, Robert, initially pleaded not guilty. Later, he admitted to child endangerment and theft. He was sentenced to 4 years and 11 months. Teresa's mother, Mary, had sold candles for fundraising, which was theft, but considering the small amount, and that she gave it all to Teresa, she was not charged. She was released. Hannah's father later appealed, claiming his lawyer misled him. The lawyer said, if you plead guilty, Hannah won't have to stay in foster care. She can go to her sister, and he would only get 6 months probation. The appeal was denied. So, was Robert truly in the dark? In the 9 months of the fraud, did he never once take his daughter for chemo? Or check a single test result? In a later interview, Robert said, he was very busy with work. Besides household expenses, he had to pay medical bills. He couldn't afford to take time off. And since Teresa was a nurse, she handled everything at home. He never questioned it. He just took her word for it. Every time Hannah was scheduled for chemo, he was either on a business trip or couldn't get away. A few times, he wanted to take her himself, but Teresa told him the appointment was canceled and needed to be rescheduled. It was a lot of coincidences, but he never suspected. Most neighbors believed Robert's story. They thought Teresa had fooled him too. But how did Teresa fool everyone? Especially the hospital visits. And what were the pills she gave Hannah? An investigation revealed Teresa would take Hannah to the hospital, walk around for a bit, and then leave. Later, Hannah said, every time Mom and Grandma took me for chemo, they would take me for ice cream. Then I would fall asleep. When I woke up, Mom said the medicine had been given, and the chemo was done. In reality, the ice cream was laced with sleeping pills. Most of the pills she took at home were also sleeping pills. Teresa got the pills through her nursing job. To make it look real, Teresa even invented a fictional female doctor, Beth. In conversations, she often mentioned Beth. Neighbors knew the name but never saw the person. In her only interview after being convicted, Teresa told reporters, I made up this lie because I was afraid my husband Robert would leave me. A sick daughter would at least keep him around. But the lie snowballed out of control. People didn't believe that. They thought her motive was money. She had a criminal record. Teresa had 2 prior convictions. One for credit card fraud, which got her probation, and one for check fraud, which got her 18 months. But for good behavior, she served only 4 months, even if her goal was to keep her husband. The means and lies were too cruel. A 7-year-old child was fed sleeping pills regularly to gain public sympathy. Her life expectancy was shortened again and again. In total, 65 people donated $31,000. After the fraud was exposed, only $500 was recovered. Teresa had spent the rest. During Hannah's supposed illness, she used the donations for manicures, beauty treatments, and shopping. She even planned a trip to New York. Of course, she said it was to take Hannah for treatment. Teresa said her daughter's life was ending. Just imagine, if her lie hadn't been uncovered, who knows what else she might have done. A year later, Robert's sister fought for and won custody of Hannah. Hannah was finally back with family. 3 years later, Hannah was diagnosed with depression, mainly because of the trauma from the fraud. She often had suicidal thoughts. Thankfully, after treatment, she pulled through. When Robert was released, Hannah quickly reunited with him. She always believed her father knew nothing about what her mother had told her, so she never blamed him. In fact, she was upset that he went to prison for something he didn't do. Later, Robert remarried, and Hannah lived with him and his new wife. They got along well. It's worth noting that Hannah was bullied in high school, which plunged her into deeper depression. Luckily, her father and stepmother were there for her. With their help, Hannah recovered. She went on to college. Her dream was to become a teacher. As for Teresa, after her release, Hannah once ran into her while working as a waitress. She ran away without looking back. She wanted nothing to do with that woman. Hannah told the media, "She is a very toxic person. I don't need her. Deep down, I'm afraid to be around her. I don't trust her, and she ruined my life." Despite hating her, Hannah still saw her mother occasionally. Her college was near her mother's home, just a 10-minute walk away. Though the encounters were uncomfortable, she said the only way to truly deal with it was not to run away. You have to get back up where you fell. In a later interview, Hannah said, "I know some people may have been hurt or gone through something similar, but I want everyone to know that even in the darkest times, you have to hold on to hope, because there is light at the end of the tunnel. Life is priceless." Well, that's today's story. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Your support means the world to me. I'm Brian. See you next time.